A question that I often ask myself is how can I train and equip everyday people to live as if they've been sent by Jesus, where they live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn? See, the mission of the church is supposed to be outside of the walls. It's not just come into these walls and this is the mission. The mission actually is outside of the walls of the church. And so, pastors, it is our job to train and equip and release people to make a difference in the world all around them. Several studies have been done, and a church that equips its members to live as if they're missionaries wherever they are, that's at work, at home, in their neighborhoods, at school, where they learn, wherever they go to have fun or their entertainment. If a church can equip people to do that, they will have a much bigger impact in the community than those that just train people to do church events. Now, if you came to me and said, Steve, how can I train my members to be everyday missionaries? These are the things that I would tell you. Pastor, I would say begin to make this a priority. Begin to apply action steps, things that your people can apply to their life in your sermons. Just don't give them information. Take that information from the Bible and say, this is how we live it out today. This is what it should look like on some level in your life. And begin to show your people, begin to show the people how they can live in such a way that Jesus is calling us to. Help your people see that this word, although it is thousands of years old, it is not written to us, but it is written for us. Help them see how they can apply God's word to their life. So make it very simple. Give them an action step. Every message that you preach, give them some action step of how they can go out and live that out in a real, tangible way. And the second thing I would tell you is I would move my small groups from information-based to action-based groups. Take every small group and help them develop a passion for a certain type of people group. And then they're going to go out and serve those people. A lot of small groups, they're centered around books or sermons or some kind of study. And so it's information-based. But now we're going to flip it, and that small group is no longer going to be focused on information, but it's going to be focused on loving the people around them and pointing those people to Jesus, training those people, teaching those people, equipping those people, and helping those people find Jesus, which is a much different way of doing small group than it is just about information. Then the third thing I would do is just create opportunities for your church to serve the community. And that sounds simple. A lot of churches do those things, but find a way, whether it's 3 times a year, 1 time a year, to actually serve the community. I was part of a church where we would, every quarter, we would take 1 Sunday a month, and we would not gather to worship, but we would actually go out into the community and serve in a lot of different ways. We had multiple projects and things going on in the community to help people see that we are the church, even though we're not inside the building. We are the church, and we're in the church for the benefit of the community. And things went really well there, and it helped people begin to see, like, oh, this is what the pastor has been talking about. This is what the staff has been talking about. This is all the stuff that they've been teaching us. This is how it can be played out in a simple way. Then another thing I would do is I would gather ministry leaders and volunteers once a quarter and do a special 1 to 2 day training on how to live as if they're missionaries. And you could do like a Friday night, a Saturday morning. You could do all day Saturday. You could do Sunday afternoon. It doesn't matter, whatever fits for your church. But I would, once a quarter, gather your leaders and volunteers, anybody that leads some kind of ministry, and begin to really talk about how can we live as missionaries, and begin to put this in front of them. And then I would preach a sermon series every year based on the mission and vision of we are being sent by Jesus into the places where we already go. God's not calling us to go to Africa or some off the world, uncharted place in the world that it doesn't hardly have any outside connections. God is calling us to represent him right where we are. And I would push on this idea. But here's what I would also do. I would bring stories from our small group. So if you had small group people that they changed from information and now they're loving people. I would, whatever kind of stories that they would have about how they've pointed these people to Jesus and what's happened, I would put those stories in front of your people. And I would find ways to continue to point people to this idea that we are being sent by Jesus, where we live, where we work, where we play, where we learn. And it's not just the staff of the church that called to do that, but it is each and every one of us who says we are followers of Jesus. And just a short plug, I actually wrote a book about this a few years ago. It's called The Missional Communities Empowering Everyday People to Make a Kingdom Impact. You can find it on Amazon. And I unpack a little bit more of this, how I've lived it out, my struggles, my failures, the things that went well. And the idea is this, though: every single person is a missionary, and it's our job as leaders to equip them and train them, but also release them to go be those missionaries that God has equipped them to